Okay, guys, so I've gotten this question a few times, and I thought I'd just clear things up for some people that don't know the difference. Crap, don't want to lose that. That don't know the difference between the 2.5, 2.5R, and 3.3 and Pro 15 engines. Well, I'm here to explain that to you today, and things you probably didn't know about, including the redesigned connecting rod, which I'm sure most of you by now already know about. So look at those crankshafts after. But let's focus on some connecting rods here for a moment, and then we'll get into the rest of the junk. Okay, so some people will say the 3.3 rod is stronger than the 2.5 rod. Well, I'm here to tell you it's actually not. And reason being is that the 2.5, 2.5R, and 3.3 all share the exact same connecting rod. Now, there is an early style, 2010 and earlier, and 2010 and later, which are different. And I'll show you that. So, let's get that pin out of there, but that wrist pin. Oh, fuck off out of there. Come on. Freaking dickhead. Anyways, so, seriously? Alright. Okay, we're halfway there. Let's flip this guy around so we're on the same page. Alright, so we can see the corroded one is the old style rod versus the new style rod. You can see that groove up the center has been made deeper and longer, and it's like that on both sides. See that? So a lot of people ask what's the difference is in the new ones versus the old ones and why they break. Well, if we look, they also drilled the oil hole on the underside of the rod. See that? Where it used to be in the top. So what they've done here by doing that is created a weak spot right here by removing that little bit of material. So they've actually purposely weakened this versus having it in the top and having all that extra meat there without that giant freaking slot ditch down the center. So that's why a lot of times when you see these rods broken, it's because of that. A lot of people go, oh, you ran it lean. Well, running lean will hurt things, but it shouldn't hurt it like that. These rods in the 3.3s never really used to break. In the 2.5s, literally, you'll never see one broken on except for a very rare occasion. But yeah, that's the new style rod for the 3.3, 2.5, 2.5R. So just in case, because a lot of people keep asking the difference. Now, people said, well, the Pro 15s don't blow up. Well, they will, but, you know, depending on how worn out and how freaking poorly you treat the damn thing. So we have a Pro 15 rod right here. And this one I got drilled an oil hole because the Pro 15s don't have an oil hole in the top. But, so you can see the difference in what the connecting rods look like. So 2.5, 2.5R, 3.3, all three of them use the same rod. Pro 15 rod obviously is different, as it actually has a different bore and stroke combination. Now, speaking of bore and stroke, let's get into the bore side of things. So we already looked at the stroke here. I can measure that for you, I guess. Oh, I don't have any batteries in my micrometer. I forgot about that shit. Oh, well. You're just going to have to use your imagination here. Okay, so we can see these rods are all lined up. Pro 15 has a shorter stroke. But aside from that shorter stroke, the Pro 15 actually has a larger bore than the 2.5 does, and I'll demonstrate that. So just going to take this old 2.5 piston, slap it back on the rod, just so we have something to hang on to, makes it a little bit easier. So, Pro 15 sleeve, 2.5 sleeve, 2.5R sleeve, well, the 2.5, 2.5R are both the exact same sleeve, there's no difference. Here's a Pro 15 sleeve, so we're looking at the exhaust ports, transfer ports, which are friggin' massive, and boost port in the back, or intake port, whatever you want to call it. So we looked at the porting design, they're different. A lot of people say, oh, the Pro 15 is a small engine, it's smaller than the 2.5. Actually, it's not. The only reason is because the Pro 15 is measured in cubic inches. Now, if you do your math, 0.15 cubic inches is 2.5 cc. So when they say upgrade from a 15 to a 2.5, they're fucking lying to you. Yeah, the design's different, and I think the 2.5 makes a little bit more torque maybe a little bit more RPM. The Pro 15 can make just as much if it was ported properly. Still a damn good engine regardless. But, and here's a lot of the thing people don't also know, that the 2.5 has a pretty small bore compared to the Pro 15. So if we look at, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but you can tell. So we'll take that 2.5 piston and that Pro 15 sleeve. Look at that. Look at that. See how loose that is in there? So that's that 2.5 piston in that Pro 15 sleeve. Now if we take the Pro 15 piston, it won't even fit in a 2.5 sleeve. Not even close. Won't fit anyway. So, yeah, the Pro 15 does have a larger bore and shorter stroke, which makes it interesting. And some people say, oh, well, the 2.5 and 2.5R and 3.3 all have different porting. Well, they don't, actually. They're all the exact same. So here's 3.3 sleeve versus 2.5, 2.5R. There's exhaust transfers and the boost in the back. So we've already cleared that up. You can go on eBay or Google and look up 2.5 versus 2.5R piston and sleeve and buy the exact same port number. There's no difference inside the engine block at all. The only difference is a blue cylinder head and an $80 higher price tag. So when Traxxas says upgrade to the 2.5R racing engine, they're fucking lying to you. That's all there is to it. They are feeding you full of shit. Sorry, but it's the truth. The truth hurts sometimes. Now that we've looked at the piston and sleeves and all that other shit, let's look at the crankshafts. So we can see we got a Pro 15 crank, a little guy. And we got 2.5 crank, 3.3 crank. Obviously you can tell which ones are slightly different here. Pro 15 crank's pretty friggin' tiny. A lot lighter too. Now, 3.3 versus 2.5 cranks. People say, oh, they're exactly the same, and they're not. I have mentioned this in a video before. So, here's a 2.5 crank, here's a 3.3. Look at the hole in the center of the gas passage. You can see which one's obviously clearly larger. If you look at the port in the front that sits underneath the carburetor, the 3.3 crank has a bigger port. So you can, and like I've mentioned before, actually use the 3.3 crank in a 2.5, 2.5R. And it is lighter. I don't have a scale here, unfortunately, at the moment. Otherwise, I would weigh them. But this crank is actually lighter by a little bit. So, you know, the people don't actually think that a lighter crank would make that much difference. And these engines that are so small and they don't make that much horsepower, just shaving off a gram or half a gram is huge. It's like shaving 5 pounds off the crank of a 350 Chevy. It'll make a huge difference. Of course, it flows better, but a lot of people say, oh, you know, jam a 3.3 carb on there. Well, the thing is, I have both right here, and they're the exact same. There's no difference. The 2.5 and 3.3 both use the exact same carburetor. They're even the same part number. So that won't make any difference. Now, like I was saying in a previous video, if you did want to make more power out of your 2.5 or 2.5R, you know, you can run with a 3.3 crank and say Lossy 3.4 carburetor. I don't have a part number for it, but they're available on eBay and Amazon, I believe. Or right from Lossy or Lossy or however the fuck you spell it. So, yeah, like I was saying, you can run a 3.3 crank, a Lossy carb, you know, a good quality OS standard plug, because an OS 8 is not meant for the Traxxas engines. They all use the same plug. Which one of the best two plugs you can buy is the OS LC4 medium or LC3 hot, which are both terrific. Both standard reach for Traxxas engines. Much better than factory. They last a lot longer too, so. And of course, burn a high quality 30% fuel, about 9 or 10% oil, and you will have yourself a 2.5 that will produce more power. It'll have a higher RPM range. It'll accelerate faster, things like that, just by doing those couple little mods. Also run a good quality pipe on there too, that'll help. But in case you didn't know the difference between all these junk engines, or all these engines, whatever, between piston and cylinders and connecting rods and all that other shit, now you know what the difference is. I don't even think there's a video on YouTube explaining that. So now you know, and hopefully that helps some of you guys out. And that 2.5R in the corner there, which is on Ed's Fortec, is coming out, and it is getting a new connecting rod, wrist pin, and new connecting rod and wrist pin, sorry, and a new set of bearings, and, you know, kind of cleaned up and whatever, and we'll do that on camera together, so that'll be good. And I got some other TC3 parts, so we'll screw with that as well, and it'll be good time. So, you know, people keep asking me, oh, when are you going to go out and do some more bashing? Well, the weather here in Vancouver has been the shits. It's been freaking like 0 almost every day. It's been raining. It's been snowing a little bit. It's been just awful. So I don't know when the weather's going to clear up. If it does and things dry out, then yeah, sure, we'll go out. If not, well, kind of sucks, but can't change Mother Nature, unfortunately. Anyways, starting to bitch here and ramble about things. As always, guys, you know, thanks for watching. I really appreciate all the comments and the views and all the kind words people have to say. You guys are freaking awesome. I appreciate every one of you, even the haters too. But anyways, until next time, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and keep on burning nitro out there. Happy Friday the 13th. Talk to you later.